Hey guys, welcome to another video. In this case, we will be talking about a webinar with better metrics. And in this case, we'll be talking about how to write a SaaS landing page that converts in a little as 1 hour. And you won't need like pretty much any iterations or any copywriting skills. So what we'll be covering in this video would be what's wrong with the current model of selling SaaS, the new model of selling SaaS, which is way better, 7 steps to a fail-proof landing page, like I'll guide you through my step-by-step process, and um, talking about not using inspiration, not using endless iterations, and no need to be stuck on a copy because what I'm about to show you will be fairly simple. So if you stay until the end, I'll give you the SaaS landing page cheat sheet plus a template for workflow. I'll send you the lean landing page canvas, my SaaS landing page collection that I use for reference, positioning exercises, these slides, and so on. So if you stay to the end, I'll give you all of that for free. No email opt-ins needed. So just a quick intro about me. I help B2B SaaS companies with their messaging and positioning so they get better conversions. My specialty is really explaining SaaS products better to increase conversions because if people understand the value that your products can bring to them, they understand the huge ROI they can get and they're just way more likely to convert. And I'm also creating and testing a new way to sell SaaS that you can learn more about at cortez.design/new way. And basically the process I'll show you in this video is something that I've tested with tens of clients from multiple 6 figures to multiple 8-figure SaaS companies, and I'll break down like the entire process like I never explained before on my blog or any other videos out there. So with that being said, let's start criticizing the old model of selling SaaS. It has like a bunch of mistakes, and mistake number one is being only looking at analytics, trying to figure out the problems through analytics. And to be honest, this is just service level problems. It's not really doesn't really show the real reason why people are not converting. It just highlights, hey, this page is not really converting that well. This is how much it's costing you to acquire a customer. That's basically the things that it tells you. They are still important, but they're just service level stuff. They tell you the problems, but they don't tell you the solutions. Mistake number 2 is looking for landing page inspiration. You look at other companies, but it's really nonsense because they don't, even if you look at competitors, because they don't have the same product, they are not in the same market, they probably have brand awareness like MailChimp has. MailChimp has like a terrible terrible messaging, but because everyone knows MailChimp, they can really get away with it. And in your case, I'll assume you probably can get away with it because you're not Slack or MailChimp or Dropbox, and you can afford to not explain what your product does. And plus, if you look at all of these stuff, you don't really know if it's working. And mistake number 3 is really, going through endless iterations, trying to make small changes. You don't really have proven formulas, so it's hard to come up with a landing page. You don't know what to put first. You don't know what to write. You don't know which features to to highlight in your page. Is just confusing, and then that just ends up with too many iterations, and this leads to to failing and not really creating a massive boost in conversions because you missed the point. You didn't really know how to explain the product properly. So even though you went through all of that work and all of those iterations, you don't you still are left with confused visitors, and that just leads to bad conversions. So all you had to do is you need to make like the website answer these questions, and all you had to do is basically put the page you were coming up with, answer these questions. And if you're not answering all of these, which you probably won't, you're not maximizing the conversions that you have. And even if you are, you can even still optimize how well you're answering them, especially how the in how the product evolves and how your knowledge of your market evolves as well. So what problem does your product fix? How does it fix that problem? why is it better than what I'm currently using, and why is it better than anything else on the market. And those two are really the key, because those are very related to a buying decision. And if people can't really figure out if it's better than what they're currently using, so it's worth it to try something new, or if it's better than anything else on the market. And if you don't answer that last question, people are just gonna compare you to something else, and they probably delay the decision, and lack of urgency always kills the sale. Because if they don't feel like you're the best deal, they'll start looking at your competitors, and they'll probably just select a random one, or whoever has the best messaging, even though your product might be better. So let me introduce you to the new model. Instead of designing landing pages based on analytics and vague terms, and trying to come up with a bunch of features and trying to prioritize them, and so on, you'll be pretty much basing your decisions on customer research, on the problems, benefits, and objections they have. And you use this you find this out through demos and questions, and support questions, and so on. And whatever questions people ask you, and objections that they have, you basically that they have on demos or free trials, you basically take those and you put them on a website, so other people can get those answers, because most of them won't bother to ask you, essentially. Then we'll be using copywriting formulas to write 80% of the copy in around 1 hour, and I'll show you how this works. And then we'll take a proven cheat sheet that I have to design the pages that are fail-proof, and you'll get this cheat sheet too. And basically we'll take the copywriting formulas and the headlines and so on, and then we have like a specific structure to follow every time, and that I've tested with my clients, and it works really well. So you might be wondering, oh, this sounds really cool. This SaaS model, sounds great, but does it work? So here I have some results, basically saying like the results were outstanding. Now we're getting 5 demos a day, and this company was pretty much wasting money on ads. They're saying we're hitting the maximum amount of calls a day. Then this guy is saying we our potential customers had to think about it for months, and now it's a very easy sale. They are closing like 50% of the people they talk to once we optimize their messaging, because people could understand their benefit, and it was selling the outcome instead of selling the product. Then is this one, which is an 8-figure SaaS company. They had a 10% uplift in the first 2 weeks, ended up being around 12%. And because this is an 8-figure SaaS company, this leads to hundreds of thousands of dollars, essentially. Then it also works for me, because it books like my calendar like crazy, because I just use the same messaging principles for my content and for my homepage and so on. And so it works really well. I have like a ton of calls every week with potential customers, and just to show you that these are universal principles. So let's get this started, in a step-by-step form. So step number 0, and I'm saying step 0 just because you need to think about this before you even think about the landing page that you're building, and the questions you want to be asking yourself. And the goal of this is basically making your product stand out, and you want to make your product seem like the perfect solution for your potential customers. So you want someone to go to your website and take a look, understand what it does, and say, this is exactly what I need. And that's just something that no one really, it's super rare that people can do, but that's the most powerful thing if you want to convert visitors at scale. And strangers into customers, essentially. So the questions you need to be asking yourself is, who's your best customer? Like, who's like your perfect customer scenario? So you can, because the only thing about this is because they're the easiest one to convert, because the problem is more painful for them, and they're also the ones that are willing to pay the most, because like I said, the product is more painful, therefore it's worth it to pay more for it. Then what's your big domino? Basically is taking a look at your ideal customer and saying, if I can acquire this customer, can I acquire the other ones at the same time? This is a little bit hard to explain, but let's say you had a tool for online courses, and you sold this to people that are teaching other people how to sell courses. In that case, you would sell to those people, and then those customers will refer you to the other ones, because they're also selling courses on how people can sell courses, if that makes sense. So, and then saying what's their tipping point. This is probably the best question out here, because um, there's always a pattern in a buying decision, which I like to call, the tipping point, is when people are so frustrated with their current solution that they are the most likely to convert. And this, let's say, for one of my clients that it does like car dealership software, that their tipping point is when they missed a sales target, or when it's the quarterly review of their revenue targets, and that's when they're most likely to convert, and that's when they follow up the most. That's when they use the advertising and more posts and so on, because they we define that point, and we know that they're like probably 5x more likely to convert at that point. So that's where we double down. So let me just give you an example of a better positioning. This is from a client that is actually live yet. It wasn't live when I was doing this, but basically they went from saying it's like a CRM, which is the most competitive market in SaaS, and it's a CRM for call centers in B2C sectors. So if you think about people that annoy you and call you all the time, try to sell stuff, that's the kind of customers that they have, and they're mostly concerned with a game of numbers, and so they handle hundreds of thousands of leads. So what you're saying before is they had the complete customer engagement platform. I don't even know what that means. I think that they made this up. And the new one that we came up with was, here's how you can manage hundreds of thousands of leads and automate your process with a simple CRM. And the only reason we use that is because we found out that their customers, they tried different tools, and that's the only one that can handle hundreds of thousands of leads. That is exactly what they need for these huge B2C sectors, while also being very easy to use. That's why we use that. So just imagine you are a B2C, a B2C company with a huge call center. Which one would you choose? Would you choose a company that says, hey, here's the complete customer engagement platform, or the one that says, hey, manage hundreds of thousands of leads and automate your process with a simple CRM? When you're looking for, managing a simple solution to, manage your hundreds of thousands of leads, because your sales people are not that technical and they want something that is very simple. Which one would you choose? So if you want to follow along over the next, over the next 7 steps, I have this resource, which I call the Lean Landing Page Canvas, and you can just follow along once you get the link at the end for the resources, and you can do this yourself. So basically, step number 1 is you want to write your killer headline, something that really grabs attention and really makes people scroll down. And you always want to use this formula. This is the easiest copywriting formula that always gets people's attention. So you want to show them, like, here's the main benefit without the main problem or objection. I'll show you how that looks later. So why use this formula? Because it focuses on selling a result, because people don't want products, they want a result. It answers their main objection, the main thing they are concerned about when they're looking for solutions like yours. And it's like a universal copywriting formula. It just works every time. It works with any problem, with any product, as long as you phrase it. So here's an example from a client. What I showed you, who else wants to recover 21% of abandoned carts? That's the desired result, to recover more abandoned carts. And then I said, no time required on your end and no emails used, because that's the main objection, just because they are using emails to do this and it's not good enough. So we don't want to say it's a better version of like it's a better email tool will want to say it's a different kind of tool and it doesn't use emails. So if it doesn't require any time on your end and it doesn't use emails, your visitors will think like, oh, what the hell is this? Like, I need to find out how they're getting these results, and then you get them to scroll down essentially. The other example is sends beautiful web-based proposals that impress prospective clients. No design or development required on your end. So essentially, what we're talking about is send beautiful web-based proposals that impress prospective clients. This is the desired result. And then no design or development experience required. This is the main objection, because, oh, I really would love to have web proposals, but I don't have design or development experience. So it follows the formula perfectly. Then this is another way to phrase this: tired of missing or delayed emails. And then it says delivers your transactional emails to customers on time every time. Basically, they switched this around and saying this is the main objection that they have, and this is the actual the desired result, like sending emails on time every time. It's the same formula, but it's reversed. Sometimes you can use the reverse version of this formula. That's why I use this example. Then step number 2 is you want to introduce the big problem. You want to identify, the big problem that people have, and you want to show them on the page for 2 reasons. One, so they can understand the problem your product fixes, so they can feel this is exactly for me. This will fix my problem, and then you're also doing this so you can remind them of how painful their product is. When you remind them how painful the product is, then you're just forcing them to, take action, because they will think to themselves, oh, I really need to fix this ASAP, because it just remind them of how much it's costing them to not fix it. And this is when it starts to make more sense. So the questions you want to ask yourself and answer in this second section is, what's wrong with their current tools or their current process? Usually you're critiquing either simpler versions of what you're offering, or you're critiquing a spreadsheet and what's missing with a spreadsheet, like human error. It's very slow. It doesn't integrate with other tools, stuff like that. Then you want to say, why can they fix it themselves? So why they need a new tool instead of just trying to use the other one in some other ways, or try to be creative on how they use it to try to get around and be resourceful, and then really just showing how that doesn't work. And then this is the key thing, is you want to quantify as much as possible how much time and money is costing them not to fix the problem that your product fixes. So if they're using another tool or a spreadsheet and it's costing them a bunch of time, you want to say, hey, it's costing 20 hours a week of, it's costing, let's say, 10 hours a week of our customers' time, to use other tools. And once they move to our tool, then not only they save 10 hours a week, but they also increase revenue, because they're focusing on more revenue-driven activities, or whatever that is. I'll show you some examples. So this is from churnbuster.io, which is a really good example. Basically, they're saying they're answering what's wrong with their current tools or process, and then they say up to 40% of churn is caused by failed payments. So they say, if you fix failed payments, you're already fixing 40% of your churn, and then you start, connecting things. Okay, if I reduce my churn in 30%, I would be getting an extra $5,000 a month, or I would be getting an extra $1,000 a month, whatever it is. Then another example, which is from a client, and criticizing the current process they use. This is from the abandoned cards example from a few minutes ago, basically saying emails only convert at 7%, essentially explaining why, and saying inboxes are crowded. You can't just connect with people anymore, because they just have too many emails, and they'll miss like the recovery emails. And then you also say people have questions, and a automated recovery email won't answer them, and people won't buy. Like, when will I get the product? How long does it take to ship? How much does it cost? Does it work with an iPhone? Whatever it is. And then you want to show them why they can fix it themselves. This is just saying, criticizing the spreadsheets and emails and so on, and saying, can you easily communicate necessary tasks, objectives, and use? How can you track performance? And basically saying the benefits that they don't have by using this old process or their tools. And then you want to quantify how much money it's costing them. Again, this is the example with the recovered cards, and saying, email converts at 7%, and our text messages convert at 21%. Here's the result that we have with one of our customers. And if they kept using email, they would be getting 259% less conversions. And then I'm saying, how much is that difference between 7 and 21% worth to you? And then people just start calculating numbers. Oh, if I could move from 5 or 10% to 20%, we'd be getting an extra 5K a month. So therefore, whatever its cost is not a problem, and makes the decision a no-brainer. So then you want to explain the solution. Basically, you just ask yourself these questions and saying, let's say someone came up to you with the problems that you identified in step number 2. How would you go about fixing those in 3 to 5 steps? Then you want to show why the product is better than anything else, and you also want to show how easily they can get started, but I'll show you that and a few other steps. So one, here's an example on how you can explain it in 3 to 5 steps. This is an example for Meet Editor. Basically, just actually show numbers and say, oh, you can add your posts, you can use bulk imports, or you can set up a RSS feed, you can set a schedule, you can be a social media boss, and so on. I think this could be a little bit better, but this is a simplified version. That's why I used it, and so you can really tell what it is. So this is from the client again, and obviously this is a little bit more advanced. Not only do I show step by step and saying like step number 2 and so on, I also answer the objections that come up when people read this. So they're saying, we text them manually to see why they didn't purchase. So they say, hey Nick, I saw you looking at our coffee, can I get you a discount or whatever? And then people might wonder, what's the percentage of people that answer this? And then they say 46% reply. And then we also say that we don't annoy your customers, and we have a real team answering these questions. Is not automated or so on. And here's like another example of answering objections. Like, where do you get this info? Because you're answering questions essentially as in a support team, let's say, but for e-commerce. And where do you get this info? And basically, we're saying we got this info from product descriptions, from FAQs, and if they don't, they'll just forward to the support team in last resorts. So this other one is showing why is our solution better than anything else. And in this case, I'm saying this is from a client, and this was a project specific for non-desk workers. So we're saying, how are we better? We've built it specifically for non-desk and office worker communication. So people might look at at the competition that has a generic target. It's not built for non-desk and office worker communication, and they think this is the only thing that is tailored for my problem. So therefore, this is the best thing I can use. And the other thing we also use is, your company doesn't have to change because of us. And basically saying you don't have to change your process to use our tool. It's basically plug and play is a digitized version and a more efficient version. Step number 4, you want to remind them of the switching costs, and these are actually something that people always think about, probably more than the actual cost on your pricing page. So just think about, what would it take to onboard a new customer? like everything, they had, let's say they had to sign up for a free trial. They have to import their data from another tool. They have to, um, I don't know, they have to learn it, go through some training, whatever it is. Just lay it down step by step. What would it take to onboard a new customer, like step by step, without missing anything? And then you want to think about how are you minimizing these steps? How are you making it easy to get started? Uh, and 90% of the time, this ends up being about the learning curve of the product. This objections that come with a cost, the setup time, what integrations you have, how easily can I import my data, and how good is the support. And then here's how other companies and my clients are answering these. This is from ConvertKit, which has a good section on integrations. You can see these are the logos of the most relevant integrations for bloggers, because it's a tool for bloggers. It's saying it has like over 80 integrations, so they think this definitely has something for me. Then they say their Shopify integration is seamless. This is just a testimonial, which is a good thing to say. Not only these are they have a ton of integrations, but they also work pretty well. Then this one is about justifying the setup time. A few context on the headline. This actually, because you only have this section, you don't notice how the headline flows. But essentially, I was explaining something, showing the benefits, and then I say more importantly. So more importantly than the benefits I was explaining before, will help you do the transition. So we have a dedicated support team to help you go from paper, Excel sheets, Word docs, and email to our all-in-one solution, and we'll also provide with 3 hours of training. And you also get get to ask a question via the phone, and if it's necessary. Another way to answer the support question and see how good the support is one, you can, use testimonials saying the support is really good, and the other one is you could say, here's how ConvertKit is doing it. Like we say, we support you. We host live trainings, update knowledge articles, host weekly workshops. And this is something that should be way more obvious, but they say, yep, you'll move every subscriber sequence and form. Switching to ConvertKit is a snap. I mean, this is good. Most companies are not doing this, but they still need to make this more obvious. And this is the kind of thing you need to make super obvious on your website as well. So step number 5 is really using, real social proof. And this is how I define real social proof, because not all testimonials are made the same, and people are just becoming numb to testimonials because everyone is using them, and a lot of people are faking them as well. So number 1, it has to be result driven. It needs to focus on the result you're selling, not really on the product and how cool it is. And number 2, it has to be relatable, and this means the person that gave the testimonial needs to be very similar in terms of stage, in terms of the problems they had or the benefits they got, to the person that is visiting the website and is considering to get the product. So I'll show you some examples so it makes sense. So this is not how you should do it. This is how most companies do it. They just get a few testimonials saying, oh, this is really cool. This is like an awesome tool. I would recommend it. And they don't really say what kind of results they had, or why is it better than anything else, and so on. These are the kind of things that people get from product hunts, from people that are just browsing around. They just browse around all day. I don't know what they do. This is an actual result-driven testimonial from Polymail. And they say, Polymail gives me confidence to send and track emails while staying on top of my inbox. It saves me hours every week. This is an actual testimonial because it says saves me hours every week, and this is an actual result. Then relatable. This is an old version that Gusto used to have. where they actually show the team size, and if people look at this and say, oh, this is very similar to our team size, they have similar benefits, they are at a similar stage, 58 employees, 13 employees, 13 contractors, whatever it is. This is similar to us, so we believe we can get similar results. That's what it's all about. Then ideally you want to make it relatable and result driven. So you can see that these are from somewhat well-known companies, probably well-known companies in the market this company is targeting, and it focuses on the actual results. So it helps us recover millions in compounding gains. We got a 67 return on investment. It's like free money, using Churnbuster is like free money. And then it is also saying we switched to Churnbuster after using Profitwell because some other benefit that they tell here, which is not really relevant, but it focus on the result, and testimonial is really good. So step number 6 is the final call to action. This is like the dumbest mistake ever. If you went through the entire page, you explain the product really well, and then you don't ask people to convert at the end of the page when they are the most likely to convert or the most likely to leave. Like at this point, they're got to near the end of the page. You either ask them, for some sort of action, or you're gonna lose them because they're just gonna, watch cat videos or something. So this is what I call the final call to action. So let's say what makes a good call to action, and is not about the color or the copy it has. It's about showing risk reversal and being very clear on what the next steps are, so people know, oh, this is exactly what will happen later, happen next when I click this button, and I'll expect that. Therefore, I won't be, I'll be less likely to, go through the process and leave at middle of the process, or not complete my free trial, or so on. And the most important thing is creating urgency, because if you don't, you can have a very good messaging, and we're talking about messaging here, but even more important than messaging is urgency. And the way you create urgency is basically quantifying how much it costs not to use the product, and showing the competitors are using it, and something like that. And I'll show you a few examples in a second. So this is from Client Rock. The founder used my cheat sheet to create this page, and he actually has a really cool example, because it says you'll get the full setup, and it has like 100% money back guarantee if you don't like it. So it's really a no-brainer to try this out. Then they also have this at the end of the page, and they say, want to try it yourself 100% risk-free? Then they review why it's risk-free, because you can try it for 14 days, you can cancel at any time, and you have 60 days to ask for your money back if you don't like it. So really, it's a complete no-brainer. You have no way to to go through this and not convert. And then this is to create urgency, which is an example from a client. This is pretty much the formula I use with all of the headlines, and I always say, hey, other companies are already using our product to get this results. When will you? And this is basically saying, well, other companies are already getting this results. They'll get ahead of you. If you don't use our product, you'll probably lose to your competition. So you might as well, try it right now. Then this is the thing that is a little bit unique about my pages. This is something that only applies to home pages, not really like for organic traffic, because organic traffic is a little bit more random. And basically you're using another call to action besides the demo or the free trial, which you have like a main call to action, then you have this one. And the only reason you're doing that is because most people are not ready to convert right now. If you look at the buyer's journey, probably like 7% is not ready to convert right now, but they might be in a few weeks or a few months. So how do you convert them with a lower commitment, so you can convert them later? And like I said, this only applies to home pages, because they get traffic from all over the place, and you know, you don't really know at what stage these are. If you have like a landing page for a PPC, you pay for that traffic, you know what kind of people are getting there. So when you're paying for it, you don't want people to have an alternative. You want people to commit because they're at the right stage to commit. And then a few examples of alternative call to actions could be lead magnets, demos in case you use a free trial, phone numbers to ask any questions, live chat to ask any questions, showing use cases so people understand more how they can use it, and answer some of the questions, because some people might say, oh, how can I use this product? And then once they say a list, they say, oh, I can use it for even more things that I could think of. So this seems like a really good value. Then it could be like blog posts, but this is something that I rarely recommend. Here are a few examples, again from Client Rock. After they show the really cool call to action with saying they have a free 14-day trial, they have the money back guarantee, and so on, they say, need to see it in action first, schedule a one-on-one demo, and I'll show you the impact that it could have. And then you schedule a demo. This is a company that just takes it to another level. This is too much, but you can see the other examples. They have like 3 alternatives, which suggests using one. One, you can talk to a specialist, which is pretty much a demo. You can watch interviews with, are basically call to actions, and then you can join a community. And I don't really know what that does, but it's another alternative call to action to get to follow up with prospects. Then from Lobe.ai, they actually show a bunch of examples on how people can use their product, and they can just go through these and know exactly how it works. So people know, oh, I can use this to measure weight, to generate pedals, to do measurements, to detect faces and hands, or for physics stuff, and basically this attracts a wide range of potential customers. And yeah, that's really about it. Let's just say that every design or redesign takes around 500 hours. Let's say between 2 to 3 people. How much time would it cost to do this by trial and error instead of using a proven process like I just showed you? So you basically have 2 options. Option number 1 is to get the gifts, to do this yourself. You have, pretty much the 80-20 of what I do with my clients, but without my advice. And if you're interested in getting that, you can go ahead and get all of your gifts, all of the resources. It has like 10 resources or so. If you go to cortez.design/barometrics, you can get them for free. Or if you're interested in applying the same effort, the same time, and getting way better results, and going through a proven process and so on, you can go ahead and go to cortez.design/apply, and I'll jump on a quick call with you to understand your problems, to understand your goals, and make sure you're a perfect fit. And basically, I'll help you with your messaging and positioning to get better conversions. Keep in mind that I only have 2 spots I only have like 2 spots a month, and if basically if you don't take action out of the 4 or 5 calls that I take a week, I'm not gonna have the time to work with you. And yeah, that's really about it, and hopefully you enjoyed the video. Cheers.